so good to see you back in the kitchen with me today. Back a few generations, there was this wonderful book that came with all these amazing recipes. And I find it very, very interesting. I've really been enjoying using it. Recipes that are on the labels of the foods products that we buy. We don't always have as many recipes available to us in these days, but don't say there isn't any, because as I started looking through my cabinets, there are still lots of companies that will give you, if nothing else, alterations to how to use the product. So they might have the cooking directions on how to, say, make hamburger helper, but in there is some alternatives of how you can make the meal a little bit different than the original intent. I found several recipes for meatloaf. So on page 99, we're going to be using the Campbell's recipe. So this was on the label of a Campbell's condensed mushroom soup recipe at some point in time. So that is where the original recipe came from. Usually it says, yes, courtesy of Campbell's Soup Company. So it was either on their condensed cream of mushroom or golden mushroom soup. Do they still make a golden mushroom soup? If they do, I don't know that I've noticed it, but I'm always getting the cream of mushroom soup. I use it in so many recipes. Now, sometimes we can make everything from scratch and sometimes we can't, and that is okay. Now, I've went ahead and I have preheated the oven to 375 degrees. I've gathered up all my ingredients, so I have them right here on the counter so that we can get started cooking and seeing if my family likes this new to me recipe for meatloaf. Meatloaf is one of those things where people really get kind of finicky about whether they do or don't like it. You know, this could become a battle of the meats. I don't know. Some people say, oh, it's too dry or too moist, it falls apart. I don't know. We're going to find out if this is one that my family will eat. And I kind of have a feeling they will, because I've never made a meatloaf that they didn't devour. So I'm going to zoom you in. You'll see my hands and we're going to get to work. This book actually came with an old receipt. Let's see, from 1982. So I'm using that as the bookmark because why not? Grab myself a bowl and we will start. First thing we want to do is, let's see, we have our can of the cream of condensed mushroom soup, but we only need at this point a half a cup of that. So let me see if I can find a half cup measurement. Here it is. So I will get in here and I will measure that much out. Whoops. Okay, so this I'll set aside and we'll put this into our bowl. We're also going to add a half a cup of just plain breadcrumbs. These seem very fine. These would be good for breading. We need 1 egg. This happens to be a duck egg. 1/3 of a cup of finely chopped onion. About a teaspoon of salt. And then we need 2 pounds of beef, ground chuck, whatever you've got. This is my homegrown beef that I grew here on the farm. This was my first beef to grow, and so I was pretty proud of myself how this turned out. And then I'm just going to get in here with my hands and I'm going to mix all this up. I've had this meat thawing in the refrigerator for a few days, so it is cold to touch, but I have found that when you get your hands in a meatloaf, it just really incorporates everything so much better, especially like the egg. You know, I didn't beat it first, but it's not really necessary. If I continuously, I like to kind of pull it around and push and pull and push and pull, and then I squeeze and turn and just can really get in there and get it all mixed in well. And I know that my pieces of onion are going to be distributed well. And this is by no means a wet meatloaf. And then I'm going to go ahead and just use a bread pan because that's what I grew up using. And I'm going to stick this whole 2 pounds in here. And then I was taught to just kind of push it all the way down in there and then go around the edge with your hand. If I didn't say it already, this was pre-greased. I like to grease my pans over the sink so that I don't have that oily mess on my countertops. So I already did that. And then I'm going to go around, and then this is going to kind of leave a space for that fat to go. We're making it so that we have a moat, because the grease will come out, because even if you get a lean meat, you're still going to have some fat. And then I kind of mound it up so it's a loaf. And on here, remember how I was talking about alterations? So we can do this just as the direction says. There is a frosted meatloaf, a Swedish meatloaf, and a meatloaf Wellington that we can try too. So it's on page 99. I tried in my last video to give you a link to the book, but it wouldn't let me. I don't know if it's because it's not sold directly from Amazon. It might be from like a used book place or something. So the name of the book again is The Side and Back Panel Cookbook, and you can still find them used. So if this is something that interests you, keep your eye out at like used bookstores and thrift stores and wherever. It's pretty thick with lots of recipes, and it's just a lot of fun if you like to do this kind of cooking. So now once the oven is preheated, this will go in at 375 degrees for 1 hour and 15 minutes. Well, depending on what version. Some versions have you stop at about an hour. Okay, we have been at least an hour, so now we need to work on the topping for our meatloaf. So I'm going to grab stovetop and a pot, and we're going to get started. Now what we need to do is take 1/3 cup of water and the remainder of our cream of mushroom soup. While that starts to warm, I'm going to set this off to the side. We're going to go grab that meatloaf. We need to grab a couple of tablespoons here of the drippings. Basically, this is to make our gravy. Oh, it smells really good, actually. And I'm going to just let this warm up and boil a bit. Got myself a flat pan, and I'm going to pull out our meatloaf, put it on this pan. You're probably wondering, why are you doing that? Well, actually, I think I'm going to wait on this gravy and not put it on yet. So I'm going to put it off to the side. Stop the brakes. And I'm going to go grab something out of the fridge. Crescent rolls. So I'm altering it by using one of the other recipes, and we're going to make the Beef Wellington inspired one. So here we go. So I've put this on a pan, and I've got our crescent rolls here, and I'm going to open them up, and I'm basically kind of wrap this, leaving a little bit of gap there that it can get a little air. I'm going to kind of pinch it together. Any that looks too thick, leaving a little on there, little holes for vent. So this will go back in the oven for about 15 minutes. And then here is our gravy, and we will have that to serve on top of the slices. Let's serve this up. Check this out. It's still warm, and I'm just going to slice right down the middle. Ooh. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. This is hot. Doesn't that look delicious? Oh, cannot wait to try this. Get a nice sized piece for the farmer. And then one for myself. And then I've got my gravy here. It has cooled a little, but not bad. And I'm going to put that over the top. Before I add the side, I'll do a little quick taste test for you. I want to get some of this meatloaf and some of the bread and some of the gravy. It's definitely a crumbly meatloaf because it broke really easy. I really like that. And then you wouldn't have to have a dinner roll on the side. because it is right there with your bread. Beef Wellington meatloaf. Who would have guessed? So much for being here. We'll see you next time. Never know what I'll do.